Welcome to the Technical Writing Success Podcast from Kurt Robbins, where we help you get smarter than your competition. This is episode 181. I'm Fred Jones.
And I'm Daphne Blake.
We really need to talk about the last week of January 2026. I've seen some bad weeks in the tech sector before, but this just feels different.
It does. Brutal doesn't even begin to cover it, you know?
Whoa.
It feels less like a market correction and more like the floor just vanished from under the entire white-collar workforce.
We're looking at headlines that, they feel like a physical punch. Major U.S. firms, the Titans, announcing over 52,000 layoffs.
In a single week.
In 1 week.
It's a staggering number, and it has everyone asking the same, frankly, terrifying question. Is this the moment? Is this that AI squeeze we've been hearing about for years finally closing in?
Or there's something else.
Or is there a much more complex, maybe even a more mundane economic story happening just beneath all the panic?
And that's exactly what we're going to try and unpack. Our producer and information architect, Kurt Robbins, he's curated this massive stack of articles, financial reports, LinkedIn discussions.
A lot of material.
A lot. And it shed some real light on this chaos. We're not just going to look at the body count. We're going to look at the why, the counter-arguments, and I think most importantly, how you can survive this shift.
And to set the stage, we have to start with the cold, hard data. Because when you see 52,000 jobs in a headline, it's just a number. It's abstract.
Right.
But when you look at who is making the cuts, it paints a very specific and very worrying picture.
It's a who's who of American industry. We're talking Amazon, UPS, Dow, Pinterest, Nike, MasterCard, Home Depot, and Google.
And the scale.
Yeah.
The scale is what makes us feel so distinct from the layoffs we saw back in 2023 or even 2024.
Right. UPS isn't just trimming a little bit. They're cutting 30,000 jobs.
30,000.
Amazon is eliminating 16,000 roles. Dow is cutting about 4,500. And here's a critical data point from the reports Kurt shared. Long-term unemployment has just hit its highest rate in 4 years.
See, that's the statistic that scares me more than the initial layoff numbers.
Why is that?
High long-term unemployment suggests that once you're out, the door just kind of locks behind you. You aren't getting back in easily.
Exactly. And there's a narrative forming around this. The Financial Times and a Goldman Sachs economist, David Miracle, they're reporting that companies are, quote, thinning the ranks after all that pandemic hiring.
Okay, that makes sense.
But there's a new variable now. They seem eager, really eager, to use artificial intelligence to reduce labor costs. It's not just about saving money. It's about swapping out human capital for digital capital.
And that phrase, swapping human capital, that's where the anxiety really comes from, right? It implies we're all just interchangeable.
This is where it gets really interesting. And to be honest, a little dystopian. There was an editor's pick discussion on LinkedIn about Dave Fox's analysis of Dario Amodei.
Right, Amodei. He's the CEO of Anthropic. They make the Claude AI models, so he's not some pundit on the sidelines. He's one of the architects of this whole shift.
Exactly. So Amodei dropped this 20,000-word manifesto at Davos, and this wasn't just a quick soundbite, it was a warning. He's predicting a very volatile 12 to 18 months.
And he doesn't mean stock market volatile.
No. He means we have never seen this kind of disruption before, volatile.
What stood out to me from that source was a specific detail he gave about Anthropic's own operations. He said that AI is now writing the vast majority of their own production code.
Just pause on that for a second. We're not talking about autocomplete. We're not talking about a spell checker for Python.
No.
We're talking about the software writing the software.
Precisely. This is technology that, 3 years ago couldn't write a coherent line of complex code, and now it's building the product. And based on that trajectory, Amodei's prediction is that 50% of entry-level white-collar jobs could be eliminated within just 1 to 5 years.
That is a massive shift. You know, Dave Fox made a really poignant observation about this. In past industrial revolutions, we always had options.
Right.
When farming was automated, people moved to factories. When factories were automated, they moved to knowledge work. There was always a next place to go.
But this time, the claim is that AI isn't replacing a specific task, like, milking a cow or welding a door. It's replacing general cognitive ability.
Let's define that, because it sounds a bit academic. General cognitive ability. It's basically the ability to process information, make a decision, and then execute a plan.
It's the thing that allowed you to switch careers in the first place. If you lose your job in finance, you use your brain, your general cognitive ability, to go learn consulting. But if the machine is better at the learning and processing part than you are,
then the ladder's gone. Finance, consulting, law, engineering, it's all being targeted at once.
Amodei has a name for this phase. He calls it technological adolescence.
I love that phrase, but it's also terrifying. What does he mean by it?
He means it's that dangerous test a civilization faces when it gains power faster than it gains wisdom. Like a teenager who suddenly gets $1 billion in a sports car but hasn't learned any self-control yet. We have the tools to disrupt everything, but we don't have the societal wisdom to manage the fallout.
Power faster than wisdom. That is going to stick with me. But before we spiral completely into doom and gloom here, and I know it's easy to do with these numbers, I want to push back a little. Kurt included some sources that really challenge this "it's all AI's fault" narrative.
Absolutely. We have to apply some critical thinking. If you look at Edwin Schmeier's analysis, he argues that if you look closely at the specific companies, AI isn't the primary driver for a lot of these cuts. It's just right-sizing.
Okay, let's play devil's advocate. Take UPS. 30,000 cuts. That feels like automation, doesn't it? Robots in the warehouse.
You'd think so. But Schmeier points out that UPS recently lost its biggest customer, Amazon.
Oh.
Amazon accounted for over 20% of their volume. So those layoffs are directly tied to losing that massive contract. It's not because a robot is suddenly driving the truck. It's because the boxes just aren't there anymore.
That's a crucial distinction. It's a revenue hole, not a tech upgrade. Okay, what about Dow?
Dow reported a $1.5 billion quarterly loss. They have a margin problem, pure and simple. And Amazon, that's largely a result of pandemic overhiring.
They thought we'd all shop from our couches forever.
And we didn't. They also pulled back on retail experiments like the Fresh and Go stores.
So it's not one single thing. It's a mix of old school economic failures, lost contracts, strategic pivots. But I have to ask, even if the cause of the firing isn't AI, isn't the result still influenced by it?
That's the catch. Schmerer admits that while the layoffs might be caused by bad margins, the expectation for the remaining staff is absolutely do more with less. And in 2026, the tool you use to do more with less is AI.
Exactly. So the recovery might be blocked by automation. You fire people because of the economy, but you don't hire them back when things get better, because the software has already filled the gap. It's a one-way door.
It is. This is all just a moment of, massive restructuring. But let's be honest, for the people on the ground, restructuring feels an awful lot like a crisis.
It certainly does. And understanding that crisis requires us to step back for just a moment. Let's take a brief break for a special message from our producer, Kurt Robbins.
Hi, this is Kurt Robbins. First, thanks for listening. I truly appreciate your support. I want to let you know that I'm currently accepting new clients. My rates are affordable, and I have more than 25 years of experience working for enterprise companies like Microsoft, Northrop Grumman, Oracle, PNC Bank, FedEx, USAA, and Wells Fargo, among many others. If you want to improve your IT documentation and communications, hire me. I deliver fast, know how to use AI to improve efficiency and accuracy, and love going the extra mile to satisfy my clients. Thank you for subscribing and listening. Back to you, Daphne and Fred.
Welcome back to the Technical Writing Success Podcast. Before the break, we were debating whether these 52,000 layoffs are AI-driven or just bad economics. But, regardless of the cause, the impact on human beings is undeniable.
It is. And David Gamboa raised a point in the source material that I think we often overlook in these business discussions. We talk about dollars and cents, but he calls it the meaning crisis.
I saw that. He noted that in 2025 alone, 1.2 million job cuts were announced. That's over 1 million people disconnected from their livelihood.
Right. And the danger isn't just financial. In our culture, people conflate who they are with what they do. I am an engineer. I am a writer.
I am a manager.
Exactly. When the job goes, the identity just crumbles.
It's true. The first thing you ask someone you meet is, so what do you do?
Exactly. Gamboa expects a global meaning crisis before 2030 because we haven't figured out how to value ourselves outside of our economic output. If the machine does the work, then who are we?
That is heavy. But here's the wildest part of the research Kurt provided, and I had to reread this twice. While companies are firing people right now, they're walking blindfolded into a massive labor shortage.
This is the demographic blind spot. Callie Williams-Yost brought this up, and it is fascinating. Everyone is looking at next quarter's earnings report, but no one is looking at the year 2032.
Break that down for us. Why 2032?
Because that's when the demographic crunch really hits its peak. Baby boomers are retiring. We simply do not have enough younger people entering the workforce to replace them.
Just not enough bodies.
Not enough bodies. The birth rates haven't been there. Georgetown University projects a 5.25 million worker shortage by then. Lightcast projects a 6 million deficit.
So Let me get this straight. Companies are firing skilled workers now to save a buck, but in just 6 years, there literally won't be enough humans left to hire.
Precisely. It is a massive strategic error. They are using an old playbook fire now, rehire later when the economy turns. But this time, when it turns back up, those humans won't be there. They'll be retired or they will have changed industries.
I'm guessing the argument is that AI will fill that gap.
That's the hope, isn't it? But as advanced as AI is, it can't cover a 6 million person deficit in every single sector, not in roles requiring physical presence or complex negotiation or high-level emotional intelligence.
Talk about short-sighted. It feels like we're in this weird limbo where we have too many workers and not enough workers at the exact same time.
It's a structural reset, it's messy, it's volatile, and it's rewriting the social contract of work.
So, if I'm listening to this right now, and I'm sitting at my desk, or maybe I just lost my desk, what do? We need a survival guide for 2026. The sources are actually pretty specific on this.
They were, particularly the advice from Dave Fox and Chad Reynolds. It really boils down to 3 pillars: skills, network, and speed.
Okay, let's unpack those. First up, skills. What are people doing wrong?
The advice is clear. Stop building skills that AI can easily replicate. If your value is just processing data, organizing spreadsheets, writing basic code, you are on very shaky ground. That is commodity work now.
That's terrifying because that's what a lot of us were taught to do. So what's the alternative?
Start building judgment. That's the key word, judgment. AI can generate 1,000 options, but it doesn't know which one is right for the specific context or the client or the ethical constraints.
Humans still need to decide.
You need to become the editor, the curator, the strategist. You have to be the one who says, that option is technically correct, but it will ruin our brand.
I like that. Be the editor, not the generator. Okay, second point, networking. Networking is such a buzzword, though. How is this different?
Well, usually people network for a role. They say, I want to be a senior technical writer. But the advice here is to stop networking for specific roles, because those roles might not exist in 6 months.
The org charts are being erased and rewritten.
Exactly. You network for the humans who matter. You want to be the person that a leader thinks of when they have a difficult problem, not because of your job title, but because of your capacity to solve problems. It's reputation, not position.
Get me that person. They know how to fix this. That's where you want to be.
That's it. And the third point, which I think is the most urgent, don't wait.
What do you mean?
Do not wait for your company's AI strategy. Most companies are already behind. If you're waiting for HR to send out a memo on how to use these tools, you're already losing. Start moving before you're sure. Experiment. Find efficiencies. Be the pilot, not the passenger.
That's proactive. I also want to touch on the corporate responsibility angle that Chad Reynolds brought up. Because while we're telling individuals to scramble and adapt, the corporations have a role here too.
A huge role.
We're seeing companies that generate nearly $1 trillion in revenue-cutting jobs without any discussion of reskilling.
That is the ethical void in all of this. Reynolds asks a really hard question. Where is the discussion of corporate responsibility? Why not invest even 2% of those massive profits into preparing the workforce for this transition?
It's a fair question. And it's not just about being nice. If they don't, they are shooting themselves in the foot for that 2032 labor shortage we just talked about.
Exactly. Rebuilding trust is so much harder than rebuilding headcount. If companies treat people like disposable widgets now, they're going to have a very hard time attracting that scarce talent in the 2030s. People remember.
It's a read-the-room moment.
Yeah.
There was an open letter from 1,200 Amazon employees asking for input on how AI is deployed. It shows people aren't anti-progress.
They just want to be part of the transition, not casualties of it. They want agency. They want to be part of the solution.
So, pulling this all together, what does this all mean for us today?
It means we are in a period of structural reset. This isn't just a bad month. The way we work, the value we provide, the way companies operate, it's changing fundamentally. It requires a new way of thinking about your career value. You have to be adaptable, you have to be human, and you have to be proactive. The safety net of business as usual is gone.
A sobering but necessary reality check. We can't control the macroeconomics. We can't stop the layoffs. But we can control how we prepare our own skill sets.
That's it. Control what you can control.
Thank you for listening to the Technical Writing Success Podcast from Kurt Robbins, where we help you get smarter than your competition. Remember to like, subscribe, comment, and share. We'll see you next time.